Al Bundy's probably the top of the heap.
Oh, Married with Children. Classic.
Talking about funny.
Yeah.
Understated funny. That's Al Bundy. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Just from listening to your comments, it's pretty clear that he had an impact on you, and you will carry those thoughts and feelings about him probably to your grave, when that's the way it's supposed to be. So thank you very much for your kindness towards the program, and we appreciate you.
There you go. Well, listen, there's not really, when you talk about someone's passing and paying honor and respects and things of that nature, and then you have to continue on with the show, there's really never an easy way to do it. But we did hear and get a super chat from a gentleman by the name of Eddie Prather. Arn, have you ever recalled that name, Eddie Prather, before?
I know that name.
You do know that name. And he did send in a super chat, and we're taking a hard right here. But we go with the flow of what the audience is asking at the time. And Eddie says, question for Arn. If you were a sitcom fan growing up, which sitcoms would make your Mount Rushmore? My four would be All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Barney Miller, and the Jeffersons. Some of those wouldn't be allowed to be on TV in today's age. But Arn, were you a sitcom fan at all?
Yeah.
What were some of your favorites?
Well, I'll go with Sanford and Son. I would just bust out laughing. Fred Sanford was like seeing the Iron Sheik walk in the room. I'd just bust out laughing. He didn't have to do nothing. I would probably say, can you post those names up again?
Oh yeah, he went
All in the Family. All in the Family.
He did All in the Family. Barney Miller was another one.
Let's just stay with that for a second. You could not possibly have that show on the air today.
No, not at all.
I mean, it was the absolute most uncouth, unheard of. Archie Bunker is someone you're talking about over the top and out of bounds, big time.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'd have to go with, let's see here. Because there was a lot of good stuff on TV, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Can we count Andy Griffith?
Oh, absolutely. It's half-hour show.
Loved Andy Griffith. Barney Fife was awesome. Ernest T. Bass was my hero.
Have you ever gone and visited? Oh, come on. What was the little Mayberry? Have you ever done that?
I've been through there.
Okay.
Just one time I wanted to just drive through there to say I had. And yeah, it's a little bitty place. But the characters were so good. Al Bundy's probably the top of the heap.
Oh, Married with Children. Classic.
Talking about funny.
Yeah.
Understated funny. That's Al Bundy.
Between them and Married with Children and The Simpsons, it's what put Fox on the map as a new channel. Remember when they entered the whole network television arena? And those two shows.
Not much of a cartoon guy once I got to be a grown up.
Sure, yeah, but those two shows, I mean, Simpsons. I mean, how long?
Don't get hot.
Incredible.
I bet you watched it too, didn't you?
I didn't. I didn't get to watch a lot of The Simpsons. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But I was a sitcom guy for sure growing up, especially the 80s. The 80s between Different Strokes, Facts of Life, Silver Spoons. Then we get into some of the other shows like Growing Pains and Family Ties, and we could sit here all day. And then the classic action shows, whether they were Simon and Simon or The A-Team or Knight Rider or Fall Guy. I mean, come on, that was my childhood.
And here's going to be my out, but if you think about it for a minute, I started on the road in '82.
Okay.
And I was working every single day. Didn't have much time for TV. So late 70s, early 80s, I would have been available to watch TV. In '82, man, hit the road.
It makes total sense because a lot of guys, people that watch Seinfeld and Friends, they would always ask me if I watched it. And those were the years in the 90s where I was working at the grocery store. I was closing up shop and sweeping floors and bagging groceries. And I never got to see some of those sitcoms first run. So I totally get it.
I didn't know you worked in a grocery store.
I sure did.
What was your job? Assistant manager?
No, I was high school. I started as a bagger, and then I went to checker, and then I ended up working in the back room as a receiver, scanning all the product in the back door.
Were you stock man? Because now remember, I worked in the grocery store too.
I know.
So I know about this stuff.
Yeah,
I know about this. Were you like this? Were you like the? What would he be called? The guy that was in charge of stocking all the shelves and all that, but the boss.
Yeah, I wasn't the grocery manager or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
That was the title of the guy in our store. He was the grocery manager. He kind of oversaw the stocking shelves, but I did work third shift a few times and fill in for some of those guys that stocked overnight.
So the trucks that backed up to there at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was the muscle head that was unloading the trucks. You were the guy that was sitting there checking it off with a piece of paper.
Yep, the slip, and I had a scan gun by the time I was doing it. And I would go in. I was the receiver.
I was working my ass off 3 o'clock in the morning in that freezing.
Yep.
Meat freezer.
There you go.
Stacking those boxes. Whatever you are.
The best part, Arn, was the Entenmann's guy when he'd bring out the stuff that was a day old. Those Entenmann cakes and cheese sandwiches. He'd bring out a bin and be like, "Oh, this is all expired." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he'd want credit and you'd scan him. He's like, "By the way, you can have whatever you want out of here." You want to talk about getting fat quick back in those days. Buddy, I was grabbing a half gallon of milk and I had breakfast right there during my first break.
I saw a couple of pictures of you when you were a little bit less svelte. Now we have the culprit.
It was Entenmann's, man. Those long strip cheese danishes, buddy. It was.
Oh,
awesome.
I hear you. How about the ones that had the raspberry down the middle?
Oh, those aren't bad either. But the chocolate frosted donuts, Entenmann's. I mean, come on, it's all good. We're way off the rails here.
Okay, just let's snap back into it.
And CG Artiste, my buddy Charlie, he says, "Oh my God, I love Sanford and Son. I still watch that and laugh just as hard. Same with All in the Family." Arn, I was just having that conversation the other day. That show would not be on the air today. So there you go. Scrolling down here, looking for some more questions. Let's see here. Shannon says, "I graduated from the same high school as Don Knotts. He was from Morgantown, West Virginia, my hometown."
Really?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Morganton, West Virginia. That's where West Virginia football is, right?
Oh yeah, Morgantown. Oh yeah. West Virginia Mountaineers. Shannon, do they have anything like recognizing that Don Knotts was from there? You have to let us know in the chat, in the comments. Like, he attended here, picture on the wall. I'm just curious.
They got to have a statue or something.
Eddie Prather said he learned his life lessons from Al Bundy. So like that.
Eddie, you're a sick man.